How well can you sing or recite the national anthem and the national pledge, yet you call yourself a citizen of Ghana? Be alive to the little things that define us as a people. Know the Ghana symbols. Be proud of your country. Patriotic citizens stand up for their country. This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE.
The stories unfold.
2 days ago, they caught my rider.
Oh my goodness.
What is his reason? The rider is not wearing quality jackets. They said we should pay a fine of 100 cedis. My operations lady was like, if I pay you 100 cedis, what money am I going to use to buy the quality jackets? Right? But beyond them, I think the competition is wild.
Each life fraught with challenges, and yet they brave the storms to keep their heads up on the entrepreneurial terrain.
I had to get experience and knowledge about how to build. So I was actually going for labor jobs. I go there and the guy's like, nah, unsa will be our bit. So go back. Yes.
Oh, Charlie.
Yes, we're actually plastering a home and it was tiring. But through the process, I was learning.
They are young, yet bold and brave. Tune in to Bold and Brave, the Young Entrepreneur Show this and every Thursday, 11 a.m. here on Sweet Melodies 94.3 FM. Be inspired, bold and brave, propelling you on to greater entrepreneurial heights.
The most music in every hour. Live from the heart of the city on 94.3 FM. This is the country's #1 Christian radio, Sweet Melodies FM.
Hey!
Health, they say, is real wealth, not pieces of gold and silver. Well then, let's get you healthy, shall we?
Stress is a precursor for some cardiovascular diseases.
Okay.
When asthmatics are stressed, they get attacks.
Okay.
So these are reasons why you shouldn't be stressed medically.
The diagnosis, symptoms, and treatment of various ailments expounded and demystified.
If you have peptic ulcer that is being treated, then you may want to avoid spicy foods because that increases the discomfort. Again, would advise that your meals are regular if you have peptic ulcer to prevent hunger pangs, lifestyle things.
Tune in to Doctor Who, our interactive health program here on Sweet Melodies 94.3 FM every Wednesday at 11 a.m. as our radio doctors dissect various topics pivotal to your health and well-being. Doctor Who. Saving every heartbeat.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to today's edition of Doctor Who. Okay, that took me a while. Which show are we on right now? Okay, Doctor Who, and we have the privilege of coming your way every Wednesday to talk about your health. I believe that's a major part of everyone's life. They say your health is your wealth, right?
Yes.
So, and today, I'm in the studios with Dr. Stella Boame, who is one of our regular radio doctors here on Sweet Melodies FM. Dr. Stella, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm well. It's good
Wonderful.
to be here.
Okay, great. So today we're diving into your chest and taking a look at your heart.
Yes.
I think I always say that for things that affect internal organs, it's a bit difficult to tell what is going on because you can't see the inside of you, right?
Exactly.
So there have to be some symptoms or some signs
Yes.
somehow for you to be able to know that, okay, something is wrong with this internal organ or the other. So today's topic is very, very important. Let me just say that if you have any questions in the course of our discussion, you can send them through to 0279 100600. That's 0279 100 600. We are live on YouTube, I think it is, as well. So you can send your messages on there as well. Okay, great. So we're talking about symptoms of heart problems. How do you know that there's something wrong with your heart, or at which point should you be worried that something is going on in there? And so if you have any questions around that, please feel free to send them through. Dr. Stella is here to answer your questions. She knows everything. So, all right, Dr. Stella.
Everything.
So, where do we want to start? Talk a bit about the heart.
Yes, we'll talk a bit about the heart. The heart, we know, is the main pumping organ.
Yep.
Okay, and it's super important to keep us alive. And
it's interesting. It doesn't stop your whole life.
It doesn't stop your whole life. I mean, it just is one of the things that shows God is great.
I tell you.
You can be asleep, you can be awake, whatever
Still
it is.
pumping.
And it adjusts to everything.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the beauty of it as well. Okay, so the heart sits right in the middle of your chest, protected by all the bones of the ribs and the back. Okay. And it is the pumping organ, so it sends blood everywhere. And then the veins bring the blood back to the heart to be pumped now to the lungs to receive oxygen, back to the heart, and then it takes it everywhere again, from the brain to the toes. Okay. So that's what it does. And today, well, we'll talk briefly about maybe the anatomy, so that when we are talking about what you feel, it might make a bit of sense. We've just talked about the fact that it pumps blood everywhere. So there's the top two chambers, and then the bottom two chambers. So on the right side, it takes blood from everywhere, comes into one huge vein or one huge pipe, and that enters the right atrium. Okay. The right atrium receives the blood and pumps it into the right ventricle. Right ventricle then pumps the blood hard into the lungs. Okay.
Back to biology class.
So there's a pipe that takes the blood to the lungs now. Okay. The oxygen from that you've breathed in enters the blood. Okay. Then veins from the lungs or the pulmonary vein now brings the blood to the left side of the heart. Okay. So the left side of the heart is more muscular than the right generally. Now the left atrium receives the blood again and pumps it into the left ventricle, which is the most muscular part of the heart. And the left ventricle now pumps it very hard. And this is the blood that goes to out of the aorta, we call it. That's the huge pipe coming out of the left ventricle. And then it splits into countless blood vessels, which enter up to the brain and the head and down all the way to every part of the body, including even the lungs, to give the lungs also oxygenated blood. Okay, so that's what it does. Now, to do this, the pump, I mean, if you've put your hand on your chest before, you've felt your heartbeat, or your pulse is a transmission of your heartbeat through the pipes or the blood vessels. Now, every time the heart is going to pump, it receives an electric signal. Okay. If you had a pump at home, you would have to turn on the power for the pump to work. So every single time that your heart pumps, it has received a particular electric signal to be able to pump and send the blood to the rest of the body. So problems of the heart are two major problems. Either the pumping mechanism, which is the muscles and those things, or the electrical mechanism can go wrong. Okay. So that's just general information about the heart. Okay. So now we want to talk about the fact that very often you may not even know that it's a heart problem or not. And like many other problems, there may be dramatic presentations, and there may also be the ones that you can easily brush off. Okay. Because, I mean, as I go on, you may see that many of these things, but I felt this before, but I felt that before.
Exactly.
But it is the persistence of some of the things and the severity and how much it affects your life.
Right.
That makes it more likely to be a heart problem.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have a problem that is lingering or is affecting your daily living, then you should tell your doctor about it. It may be a heart problem that is creeping up slowly, and then we'll have to look at it. Okay.
Right.
So we'll start, maybe I will think about it in different blocks of conditions that can affect your heart.
Okay.
And then we'll talk like that.
Okay,
so
sure.
We'll talk about maybe angina first.
Okay.
Angina happens when the blood supply, we've said that the blood pumps out of the heart and it goes to every part of the body to supply its nutrients and oxygen.
Right.
Now, the heart muscle itself is part of the body. So it also gets some of the blood to be able to function well.
Okay.
Now, sometimes, especially if our lifestyles have allowed us to build up cholesterol in the blood, then you see that the cholesterol can block some of the blood vessels that are going to the heart.
Okay.
So that now you are not getting enough blood into this important muscle pump. Okay. So it wants to pump and it needs to pump very strongly, but it struggles because it's not getting the blood supply it should get, you know. So the electrical stimulus comes, it says pump this blood, and it struggles. Okay. And because it doesn't get enough blood, if you've been listening, you may have realized that sometimes when blood doesn't go to a certain part of the body, the tissue begins to die. Okay. Or it begins to have pain and it cannot function well. Okay. So that happens to parts of the heart muscle. So it can be the front parts, the middle parts, the lining between the left and the right sides that I've talked about.
Okay.
Different parts of the heart could be affected. So suddenly the muscle there is not pumping so effectively.
Right.
And it becomes painful. When the blood doesn't go to a place, it becomes painful. Okay. For instance, if you've tied your wrist very tight with something, it would begin to be painful. If you go to draw blood in the lab and the lab technician may be struggling a bit, see that the hand begins to feel tingly and painful. So that begins to happen inside the heart muscle, and you may feel it as pain, especially when you exert yourself. Okay. Because whenever you exert yourself, the heart is going to pump harder, it's going to pump stronger, it's trying to get more oxygen to all the muscles that you are using. So when that happens, you have what we call angina pectoris, which is heart pain. So this is usually felt as a dull, heavy pain in the middle of your chest. Okay. And most people will notice it when they have exercise. So you are doing your morning walk and suddenly you feel a pain in your heart. It makes you want to rest. You sit down for a while, the pain gradually goes away, and you're able to get up and continue again. But periodically, you have to stop to rest because your chest is painful. And it's a heaviness and a pain in the middle of your chest. That's how most people will describe it. Sometimes people feel it as if it were a heartburn. They feel a burning sensation sometimes. So that is also something that you may have to be mindful of. If you keep having a pain somewhere in the middle of your chest whenever you exert yourself, it's a concern that you should address with your doctor. And with it, you may have weakness. So I've said that some of the conditions are very generic. You may have weakness. You may feel tired more often than usual. You may realize that you are stopping some activities, maybe not very consciously, but like, I'm tired more often, so I don't do this anymore and I don't do that anymore. Okay, so if you realize that you're cutting back on things that you do because of a vague chest pain and because of a vague weakness, you may be suffering from angina. And it's a very important condition because it may lead you to the next one that I'm going to talk about. Okay, and the next one I'm going to talk about is the big one, which is the myocardial infarction. Okay. This is when the angina has gone on. Yes, this is when the from a part of the heart muscle. Okay, so imagine that your cholesterol plaque, we've talked about cholesterol, has been building up and blocking the pipe slowly. Cholesterol is that waxy substance or oily looking substance which builds up in the blood vessel if it's too much in your blood.
Right.
Okay. So this plaque has been forming and forming, and sometimes suddenly a part of it may dislodge, okay, or break off. And when that happens, the lining of the blood vessel will bleed, because the blood vessel also has blood supplying it. So
Okay.
it may bleed inside there and form a clot, because everything that bleeds will form a clot to try and prevent you from bleeding to death.
Okay.
So here you have your plaque. Already the blood vessel is narrow because this thing has formed a bump in there. Now a piece of it has broken off. That plus the bleeding and the blood clots can totally block a blood vessel.
Right.
Now, if it is a small blood vessel, you may have a small part of the heart affected. Sometimes it can affect the biggest blood vessel, which is bringing blood into the heart. And then a huge section of the heart muscle can suddenly lose all blood supply. Okay. So suddenly it cannot pump because it's not receiving oxygen, it's not receiving nutrients.
Okay.
And within a very short time, within 30 minutes, that muscle begins to die.
Okay.
And when it dies, then there's not much that can be done anymore for it. So that is actually a medical emergency.
Okay.
And it gives that classic sign that we tend to see in the movies.
Yeah.
Okay, something happens.
Fall down,
Yes.
clutch your chest,
and
die.
Yes, exactly. Fall down and die. That is the picture of a myocardial infarction.
Okay.
It's a dire emergency.
Okay.
So if you feel and usually you'll feel a terrible chest pain. That's why they clutch their chest, have that alarmed look on the face and drop
Right.
dead. Yes.
Right.
It may give you a little time if it's a small blood vessel, but it's classic and you should see it as an emergency.
Okay.
So things that accompany this type of myocardial infarction, you may have sweating. Suddenly you are sweating. Suddenly you have this terrible foreboding. It's like, I know I'm going to die. Okay. With the chest pain.
Okay.
You may feel a palpitation. Your heart, the rest of the heart muscle may frantically try to beat. So you may feel your heart palpitating or beating erratically. That may happen as well.
Okay.
And then with the pain, you may have dizziness, which may make you fall down.
Okay.
And certainly you'll feel very weak. Okay, so chest pain severe with a feeling that you're going to die, really. And then sweating, sudden excessive sweating,
Okay.
sudden severe weakness and dizziness.
Okay.
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 And if it's a large enough blood vessel, usually you'll collapse and may faint. So if somebody has seen you, they'll usually rush you to the hospital.
Okay.
And for all of us out there too, if you notice something like that, or if somebody suddenly collapses, especially if you know they've had heart problems, hypertension or other issues, you should rush them to the hospital.
Okay.
Because the time to intervene is very small. Okay. In the best centers, the things that would be done is by the time when you get into the hospital, if you are lucky enough to end up in a cardiology unit, then they have a protocol that by the time, between the time you walk into the hospital and the time when they are actually intervening and removing that or opening up that blood vessel, they usually have time spans, like within 15 minutes, you should be in theater.
Right.
Within 30 minutes, you should be in theater, depending on the skill and the expertise of that hospital.
Okay.
So you can see that it's a very important thing. Now, if somebody falls and suddenly loses consciousness, hopefully there'll be somebody there who does basic life support so that they can quickly feel for your pulse, realize that you don't have a pulse, and then start CPR for you.
Okay.
Okay. So CPR is a good skill that everybody should have.
Okay.
So CPR is what might
Whether
save
you're in the
you,
medical field or not.
whether you're in the medical school field or not.
Okay.
And also, especially if you care for people,
Right.
like in a school, there should be a few people who can administer CPR.
Okay.
In any place of
Church.
large enough churches, yes, should have it, and so on. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, wonderful. I think we can look at a few questions. The number, by the way, is 0279 100600. That's 0279 100 600. This is Dr. Who. If you just tuned in, we're talking about symptoms of heart problems or heart issues. How do you know that something may be wrong or going on with your heart? Okay, so this one says, please, occasional palpitations something to worry about? Occasional.
Occasional, very occasional, no, they are probably not something to worry about.
Okay.
Exertion can bring it about. Stress can give you palpitations, brief palpitations. Sometimes for no apparent reason, you are just sitting down and you feel your heart jump a bit. It can happen. But if it is too regular or becoming more and more frequent, then you should be concerned.
Okay.
So now I'm talking about palpitations sometimes. If it's accompanied by dizziness or profound weakness or pain in the chest, then you should be concerned.
Okay.
So by itself and briefly, it's okay. Okay. But even that should be brought up at your annual medical exam. Okay. If you have it once in a while, you should definitely mention it to your doctor when you go for your medical exams so that they will see if there are any other problems that may not come up here or may come up here. So you would associate it and mention it to your doctor. He would examine you fully and then be able to say that, no, these are okay. They are okay. Or he may pick up a problem and deal with it. But if you have it with dizziness, with weakness, and if it cuts down on your usual activity, then you should be concerned.
Okay.
And bring it up.
Okay. All right. This one says, please, is blacking out or feeling faint when you have just a cold? Okay, this is not complete, truncated, but blacking out or feeling faint when you have just a cold. Should you feel that when you have cold?
No, no. You may feel a bit unwell. You may feel a temperature. You may feel weak. Sometimes you feel dehydrated. You really need a lot of fluids when you have the viral illnesses.
Okay.
But some viral illnesses can give you heart problems. So if that is happening, then you should see a medical provider because some viral illnesses can give you what we call a cardiomyopathy. Okay. So, or even a pericarditis. The pericardium covers the heart.
Okay.
It's like a plastic bag that contains the heart, loosely speaking. So that can become inflamed, okay, and give you a feeling of breathlessness. What did he say? Feeling faint.
Yes.
Okay, because yes, if it's inflamed enough, it may restrict the pumping activity of the heart.
Okay.
And that can make you feel faint because you are not pumping enough blood to fill all the needs of all of your body. So if your brain is not getting quite enough blood, you may feel faint. If your muscles are not getting enough blood, you may feel a lethargy and a weakness that is unusual.
Okay.
So if you have a cold, suggests a viral infection or occasionally a bacterial infection. So if it's giving you too much faintness, weakness, overmuch, you should see your healthcare provider. And especially if there's associated chest pain.
Okay.
Okay, like we described for angina. If you're feeling something like that, then talk to your healthcare provider because of the possibility of inflammation of the muscle, which is a myocarditis, or the covering, which is a pericarditis.
Okay. All right. The number is 0379-100600. That's 0379-100-600. This one says, please, how do you distinguish between pain in the chest and pain in the heart?
Well, pain in the heart is a pain in the chest. Okay, so it's the things that go with it that may make you consider that it may be a heart pain.
Okay.
Okay. Pain in such as the palpitations, a lot of dizziness, feeling very faint. Those would usually go with heart problems.
Okay.
Let me add on two things. You may have breathlessness with both lung conditions and heart conditions. Okay, and both with exertion. But heart conditions will go with these other things, a lot more dizziness, a lot more feeling faint. And then it can go with swelling of the feet as well. Okay, swelling of the feet is more common with heart problems, hardly ever with just a chest problem. So that's one of the things also that may suggest the reason for the chest pain. Then apart from the heart and the lungs, we should also note that there are muscles, bones, joints in the chest as well. Okay, and even breast tissue, more for the ladies. So the chest pain can be many things.
Okay.
But heart pains usually will give you a constitutional. The heart is so central that it will affect many things in your life. Yes.
Right.
And may come on more slowly, except for the myocardial infarctions, the heart attacks.
Yeah.
That may just suddenly come upon you. But it goes both ways.
Okay.
A heart problem would be either very, very sudden, like we see in the movies with a heart attack, or it may be slow and insidious. Things like the heart failures. Slowly with time, you realize that you're able to do less and less. You're becoming a bit more and more breathless. You're far gone, and now even straining, because you can have heart failure and heart problems that really can reduce your quality of life.
Okay.
Or impair your activities of daily life. But that is extreme. By now, you would know you have a heart problem.
Okay.
Yes, you wouldn't be guessing by the time it's causing you difficulties with passing stool.
Okay. Wonderful. You can still text in. The number is 0279 100600, 0279 100 600. Okay, this one just came in. It says, I sometimes experience my heart beating faster, and I will calm down. And it will calm down after some time.
Okay.
Okay.
So this may be the palpitations we are talking about.
Yeah.
So palpitations generally is an unnatural awareness of your heartbeat.
Okay.
Our hearts are beating all the time, but you don't think about it.
Right.
You are not aware of it. It just does. If you don't put your hand on your chest, you won't feel it.
Right.
But you may become aware that your heart is beating.
Okay.
And that's what we call palpitations.
Okay.
So it may be the fastness of it that makes you aware of it. Usually the slowness, you don't feel it so much. You may feel the symptoms of it, other symptoms. And then sometimes it's the irregularity. The heart is beating maybe pum, 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 and suddenly pum, 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 pum. Then it goes back to pum, pum, pum. So you may become aware of that.
Okay.
So that awareness is palpitations.
Okay.
You shouldn't generally feel your heartbeat, except maybe you've run. Exertion will make you feel your heart pounding. A sudden fright may make your heart beat faster, and then it calms down again. So if that's what you are describing, then it's perfectly fine. Okay. Sometimes stress may make you aware of it. Stress should be like a sudden fright, and it goes away. A sudden fright goes away. But if you are always thinking about something that is of a concern or worry or frightening or alarming to you constantly, that's what creates the condition that we call stress. So your body constantly feels that it's about to face something frightening or something or dangerous. And then your heart is responding to that. So your stress can give you palpitations because you're always in that flight or fright, fight or flight mode. Yes.
Okay.
So palpitations are not natural. You should see your healthcare provider.
Okay.
Let us be sure that it is not caused by another problem.
Okay.
Because your heartbeat, its rhythm and its regularity are determined by that electrical part of the heart. Okay, we describe the heart as a pump and said that an electrical stimulus will make it pump. Okay, so every time your heart beats, it's because a stimulus or an electrical impulse has made it beat or contract. So if you are too aware of it, then this stimulus may be making your heart beat too fast or too slow or at an unnatural rhythm. Okay, for different reasons. And the reasons for palpitations are many, from thyroid disease to maybe even small infarctions or small heart attacks that have affected the electrical pathway.
Okay.
So the electrical impulses are not moving the way they should move, and that can cause differences in heartbeat. Other infections or other diseases may have affected the heart, the electrical pathway, and therefore it's not beating the way it should. This is what causes palpitations.
Okay. Right.
Then there are other things like even blood sugar levels. A low blood sugar level will give you palpitations. It's one of the signals that diabetics use to know that they are going hypo, and so they must reach for something sugary.
Okay.
You can have palpitations, an abnormal heartbeat.
Okay. Diabetics? can get hypo?
Yes, if you take your medicine for diabetes and forget to or you're unable to eat quickly enough, then your medicine lowers your blood sugar too low.
Okay.
And you don't take your food to counter that. So especially people with insulin. Okay, let me explain
interesting sounding. Okay.
Yes, you should take medicine to lower your blood
because
sugar.
diabetes is generally high blood, like your sugars are through the roof.
Yes.
More than they should be.
Yes.
So,
and they will get hypo. It's usually induced by their medication. So some medicines should be taken just before you eat.
Okay.
Some medicine should be taken about 15 minutes before you eat.
Okay.
So we always say that your food should be ready and on the table before you take your medicine.
Okay.
Because say you take your medicine and your food is delayed or there's an emergency or something makes you not eat, then the medicine has really crashed your blood sugar.
Right.
You need it to control your blood sugar. But you've taken the medicine because you're about to eat and your sugar is going to hit the roof.
Okay.
So if you lower the blood sugar and now don't bring the glucose that we are expecting, then it may get too low and people can collapse. And it's actually like it can be life-threatening.
I see.
And that one of the signals is palpitation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if they don't eat early enough even, there's some medicine working in the bloodstream. So they know to have a sugary drink or eat a sweet or something to prevent that.
Interesting. Okay. Please, those of you calling, I'll open the phone line shortly.
Okay.
But let's answer a few more questions. This one says, please, can frequent sudden fright cause any problem? Michael Fangbawi. Frequent sudden fright.
No, it will not give you a heart problem if you have a healthy heart already. It shouldn't. So a young person, 20 years old, let's say, as he went out today, a cat jumped out of the hedge, so he had a fright. Then he almost got knocked by a motorbike. He had another fright. His boss called him. He thought he was about to be fired. He got all those things. Your body can usually handle it.
Okay.
What it may cause you is anxiety later on if you are not able to deal with it. Okay. If it happens often and often enough, then you may need some clinical psychologist's advice or counseling just to get you over that period of frequent frights. Yes. Sometimes we ignore that and end up with issues of anxiety later on.
Okay.
So we need to address
and then you
those
can't
things.
even link it to that, right?
Yes, you forget the reason. So I think in other cultures, they reach out to the psychologists earlier than we do. Yes. So we should probably think about those as well.
Okay. All right. This one says, please, how about if you can hear your heartbeats as in the sound of it in your ear, but not really feel it?
Okay. That can happen sometimes. And sometimes it's very benign, like maybe you're lying down and your posture makes, because there are arteries everywhere pumping the blood. So lying down in a certain posture, you may feel the blood vessel. Okay. Just the way if you put your hand on your finger on your pulse, you will feel something. So if it's near your ear, you may hear it as a sound.
Okay.
And that is okay. Okay. But if you are just now beginning to just hear your heartbeat, it may be that the blood, the volume of blood being pumped has become too much for some reasons. This can happen in things like severe anemias, hyperthyroid, or hypermetabolic states like hyperthyroidism. So the heart is pumping, I won't say too hard in anemia, and it may be in an effort to give you more red blood cells, get more oxygen to the cells. So it's overactive. Sometimes in pregnancy you can have that, we call it hyperdynamic states in medicine. So if you have a hyperdynamic state, you may be, the blood vessels in your ears may be carrying a bit more blood than usual. And so you may have that sensation that I can hear my heartbeat. Yes. It may, so have it checked. If it's a new thing, you should have it checked. There may be an insidious thing happening that may be picked up because of that. And also you may want to see an ENT, because inflammation inside the ear can give you that, maybe a localized hyperdynamic state, if I should put it that way. So
also maybe an ear problem and not a heart problem.
It may also be an ear problem.
I didn't think about that. All right, great. I think we should open the phone lines because of time.
Okay.
So if you want to call in, sorry for the calls I've missed. I hadn't opened the phone lines yet, but I have now. So you can call now at 0279 100 That's 0279 100 600. We have a call already. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. You're live on air. Please go ahead with your question.
My name is Juliet. I'm calling from North Kanishi.
Juliet's from North Kanishi. Okay, just close by. Please go ahead.
All right. I find out if you can get palpitations when you have, or
You want to ask if you can get palpitations when
you have ulcer.
you have ulcer? Okay. Dr. Stella.
And
Okay.
also find out if frequent palpitations at night or when you have fright at night can also result in low blood, and that's a result of the ulcer as well.
Okay. Did you say when you have fries?
Yes,
Right.
at night.
Or fright?
Right.
Fries.
Like
as in the
something
food.
scares you, or fries
No,
as
I
in
mean
chips.
fright. Something scares you. And
Oh,
you
fright.
had-
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You had a bad dream or something.
Oh,
Ah,
okay.
okay.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, Juliet, to answer
Thank
your
you.
questions.
So 2 questions. Whether
Yes.
stomach ulcers can cause palpitations.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Not directly.
not directly.
Okay.
No, not directly.
Shouldn't.
Not directly, yes.
Okay.
There's a nerve that goes into the stomach, the vagus nerve.
Hmm. From the heart?
It's, loosely. Some things are loosely connected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in a certain sense, you can. But what stomach ulcers can do is to give you a heartburn.
Okay.
So people may describe it as a heart pain because it's right in the middle of your chest and a disturbance right in the middle of your chest.
Okay.
So the pain is more common. But just because of that nerve going near there, there's a possibility that you may have palpitations from stomach ulcers, but it's a loose connection.
Right.
And it's not something that we really connect together.
Okay.
Then you mentioned being frightened in the night. Being frightened in the night will probably stimulate your ulcer because it will probably make you also produce more acid in your stomach, yes, which will trigger up through the esophagus. The esophagus is in the chest. So it comes up the stomach through the esophagus, and that can give you a heartburn and give you a lot of discomfort in the chest.
Okay.
Maybe palpitations, but not so much linked. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Juliet.
You should get the ulcer treated, Juliet.
You should, yeah.
You should get it treated.
Okay. We have another call on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
My name is Jojo. I'm calling from Ashoman Estate.
Your name is?
Georgia.
Jojo, I'm calling from Ashoman Estate.
Jojo from Ashaman Estate. Okay, please go ahead,
Yes,
Jojo.
please. Okay, so I have low iron. I'm anemic.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't know whether certain foods also attribute to the fact that I'm not able to produce more red blood cells, because for a woman, sometimes when it gets to my monthly flow, it doesn't come early. It delays, or it's not even up to the day that I have my normal period session. So I also want to know if there are certain foods I can take, because I do take folic acid and every other thing that can help me enhance my
your iron
blood, but I feel like it's not really working.
Okay.
And also, I used to be athletic before, so when I realized that I was anemic, then the doctor told me I had a slow heart rate, so I had to actually stop running for a while. So I don't know if that anemia is also triggering the fact that I had a slow heart rate. If there's anything I could take, like diet or something that could help me.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Jojo. We'll answer your question.
Okay. Let me start from the back and say that the slow heart rate is more likely to be because you were very athletic.
Okay.
Yes, people who are athletic have a lower heart rate.
And it's normal.
It's normal. If the doctor cautioned you, then it may be very slow. And if it's too slow to their medicines, that can be used for it. Athletic is good, so I don't want you to stop exercising.
Yeah.
Yes. So please let the slow heart rate be looked at separately.
Okay.
But note that if it's in the 60s or very high 50s, it may just be because you were very athletic. So you might want to go back to that.
Okay.
But speaking of the anemia, keep listening to Dr. Who. We like talking about that. But for anemia, you should take your folic acid and you should take iron if you are allowed to.
Okay.
I didn't ask about your sickling status and things because I don't think you want to talk about it on the radio. So whether you have sickle cell anemia or not, whether there's things like G6PD deficiency, there may be things that are making you chronically anemic.
Okay.
So speak to your healthcare provider and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
In rare cases, there can be, or even that is myoglobinuria. That's where your muscles may break down a bit when you're very athletic and give you dark urine. But usually it doesn't give you a low blood level.
Okay.
So I think I'll leave that out.
Okay.
And say that continue your folic acid, continue your iron if you're allowed to take it. Now, sometimes some things can impair absorption of iron. So because you're mentioning anemia, if you're taking your iron supplements, do not take them with tea, as in, tea and coffee, but try and separate your iron supplement from those types of beverages.
Okay.
And then try and separate them also from your milk and calcium containing products. So mainly milk, cheese, and so on.
Okay.
Because those things can interfere with the iron absorption in your intestines.
Okay.
So those may be little things that may be hindering it. Then, apart from that, go for your green leafy vegetables. So your salads, your contomere, your cassava leaf, bitter leaf, whatever greens you do them. Then your meats, fish, liver, and so on also contain a lot of iron.
Okay.
So those are the big ones. Then finally, see a dietitian or nutritionist, see one. They will help you with your diet to do something that actually helps the anemia.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do that.
I'm so sorry, I've missed a number of calls. It's difficult to pick a call when we're answering someone's question, but you can call back now.
We'll keep the answers shorter.
79100600. That is 0279 100 600. You can also still send in your messages. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm so sorry. I feel like I've missed a number of your calls, right?
Yes.
Oh, apologies.
Please, I wanted to find out if you have a persistent pain intermittently beneath your right breast. I had a liver test and then I showed it to the doctor and the doctor said it's okay. The figures are just down. But a certain nurse told me the liver is not functioning well. So I wanted to know if it's a problem. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
I think I'm reassured if your doctor said that the enzymes are okay. But if you're having pain beneath your ribs on the right, that's where the liver lives. So that's a concern. And then a nurse said that the labs indicated a liver problem. So please get a second opinion. Yes, you might want to take a liver scan and after a month or two, even repeat the test if need be. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but see a doctor. Yes.
Okay.
You can call the number after the show.
Okay.
And then make an appointment to see.
Okay.
Yes. Also.
Okay. Wonderful. A few more questions. This one says, hi, good morning. Sometimes I feel a slight sharp piercing around my heart area. Is this a cause for worry?
Slight sharp piercing. Please try and maybe take a few days and try and figure out what makes the pain come. Let me say it that way. Yes. Is it when you're active moving? Is it soon after you've eaten? Is it when you're very hungry? Is it just try and link it with things that are happening, the usual things in your life? Sometimes that's what may help your doctor to decipher the cause of the pain. It doesn't sound like a major problem, but you can't just dismiss a chest pain as well, especially if it keeps coming.
Okay. All right. This one says, please, what could it be when you feel pain under the right breast intermittently? Yawa. Okay, I think Yawa is the one who just called.
Right.
Same.
So Yawa, let's look at that liver thing properly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Please, can exaggeration give you heart disease? Give you heart disease.
Exaggeration.
Yeah.
And if you exaggerate too much, so much that
dramatic.
it turns into lying, then you get anxiety and you get heart disease.
Okay, all right. Please, I have time for a few more calls. I can pick up about 1 or 2 more calls depending on the length. So if you want to call in, please do that now. It's 0279 100600 0279 100 600. Hopefully you haven't given up on me after I didn't pick up calls. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning. Please turn down the volume of your radio set, okay?
Morning. Good afternoon.
Yes. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Please, during this, my name is Richie.
Richie. Okay.
Yeah. During this, this time.
Sorry.
I can't breathe well.
You can't.
You can't breathe well. Okay.
Yes, especially when I eat okra.
Okra. Okay.
Okra soup.
Okay.
But what is concerned about is that I have a heart problem.
Okay.
High hypertension.
Hypertension. Okay.
Yeah. So when I eat okra soup, I can't breathe well in the evening. So I feel very cold and I can't breathe well in the evenings.
Okay.
What is it? Is it because of the heart problem I have?
No,
I'm confused.
I don't think so. I think that you may have developed an allergy to the okra. It may sound strange because you've been eating it, but occasionally you can develop an allergy to something you've been using for a long time.
Oh, okay.
So that's number one. Then number two is...
But can you give me a number so I can call it that?
Yes.
Yes, we will.
We'll do that. So you can hang up. We'll answer the rest of your question and then we'll give you a number as well, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Richie. You're welcome.
Okay, so I think it may be an allergy, and with a high blood pressure, maybe he mentioned that he has a heart problem as well. So it may make the allergic symptoms worse, or give him maybe palpitations or breathlessness when he has the okra.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So speaking about breathlessness is one of the symptoms you may have.
Okay.
So, and usually it will go with, we mentioned a reduction in your activities of daily living. So you used to be able to walk 30 minutes every morning, but you realize that no, you are very breathless after just 10.
Yeah.
It may be a symptom of a heart disease.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, let's just pick this last call. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Hi, what's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Innocent, and I'm calling from Dome.
Innocent from Dummy. Okay.
And I want to find out. I usually have, allergies. I see these spots on my body, but I can't usually, or I can't really tell what food causes, or what I eat, or what I do. That gives me.
That gives you the allergies. Okay.
Yes. So I want to find out: is there a way to specifically know what is giving me those allergies? Then a second question.
Yes.
I have sometimes heartburns when I eat, let me say, especially oily foods.
Okay.
Is there a cause of alarm?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Innocent. We'll answer your questions. Please keep listening. All right. Bye.
The allergies, yes, actually, there are tests that can pinpoint the allergies. So maybe you can call the number afterwards, and then we might direct you to a place where you can get such a test done. And I'm sure you have tried yourself to decipher what's like the caller before thought it was okra. So I don't know what it is with you, but if you eliminate, you may find out. There's tests that can sometimes help. Now, what was the next part of the question? There were two parts. The allergy, heartburn from
What was it again?
Oily foods.
Yeah.
Yes, oily foods. Yes, some you may need to reduce the oily foods. There are other conditions that can give you, yes, a discomfort, heartburn, and we call it dyspepsia, a discomfort after eating oily food. So it may be related to stomach ulcers, may be related to gallstones sometimes.
Okay.
I doubt that you have gallstones, but there are other things that could be the cause.
Okay.
So have it checked.
Okay.
At your next medical, bring it up.
Okay. All right. Little time. We should have opened the phone lines earlier. I'm so sorry for those of you whose calls I couldn't pick, but we have a few.
Swelling of the feet already. I don't want to leave out important
we did briefly. This one says, if the blood is not well, I don't know if you mean pumped. Can that affect the nerves?
No, there are two different types of conditions. I'm suspecting that he's talking about peripheral heart disease, peripheral vessel disease. Sometimes your arteries and veins in the legs, especially, can not work very well. So you have swelling and problems in the lower extremities. But that same thing can be, there's also a nerve problem that can happen in the lower extremities. So that may be what he's talking about. He may also be talking about the fact that I talked about the pumping action and the fact that the electrical activity causes the, So if that's what you're talking about, then yes. If, let's say, you have reduced blood supply to a section of the heart, if it's that section of the heart where the electrical wires are passing, then it will affect the electrical as well. Yes.
Okay,
and
wonderful.
Change your heartbeat somehow. Yes.
I think we've had a very interesting and interactive discussion. Unfortunately, we can't pick any more calls. So those of you who are calling, you'll have to forgive me. Our time is up. But let me give a number you can call after the show, okay? You can call 020-018-2692. 020-018-2692 after the show, and you'll be helped with any medical help that you need. The number again for the last time is 020-018-2692. Dr. Stella, in just a few seconds, please wrap up our discussion for us, and then we can.
Just to say that heart problems we've seen can have different symptoms. They show up in different ways. So listen to your body, and if anything is becoming a recurrent symptom, then please talk to your healthcare provider. Heart problems are best treated if they are caught early, before they get to that point where it becomes a sudden dramatic bang that changes your life. So let's look at it and see, and do your annual health checkups.
Yes,
because we pick up little things that help.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stella, for coming.
Thank
This has been an absolutely wonderful time discussing symptoms of heart issues or heart problems. Next week, God willing, will come your way again with another wonderful edition of Doctor Who. Until then, stay healthy. My name is Kweku Sampson. Have a good afternoon.
No one brings you the news, airs your views, and suits you with tunes the way we do it. Sweet Melodies FM, blowing away all your blues.
Good afternoon, it's midday. Welcome to Sweet Melodies 94.3 FM. You're listening to our major news bulletin. We're broadcasting live from 111 Parlors Loop, North Kaneshie. Join us online on www.sweetmelodiesfm.com, on Radio Garden, and on TuneIn. You can listen to us at Sweet Melodies FM. My name is Nanakwe Kwampofo. In this edition of the news, Chairman Bonsu says election 2024 will not affect review of the Constitution. NDC demands response to petition submitted to the Electoral Commission. In our international news, Israeli warplanes hit Lebanon again as Hezbollah takes aim at central Israel. Trump warned by U.S. intelligence of Iran assassination threats, campaign says. And in our sports news, Man City midfielder Rodri out for a long time. Our news now in detail. In our first story, the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, is set to write to the Electoral Commission today to demand a response to its petition. During its Enough is Enough demonstration, the party presented a petition to the Elections Management Body. According to the NDC's National Communications Officer, Sami Jemfi, the party has given ample time to the EC to respond, and since it is taking longer, the party will write to draw their attention. We intend to formally write to the Electoral Commission as a follow-up to the petition we gave them, so we hope to hear something favorable by tomorrow, and if we do not hear anything, we're going to move to stage 2 of our action plan, he said. The Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah Bonsu, has assured that the upcoming December 7th elections will not disrupt the work of the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. The committee, established by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, is tasked with gathering ideas on how best to review the 1992 Constitution. Despite concerns raised by some about the timing of the committee's work, just 3 months ahead of a critical election, Mensah Bonsu emphasized that the electoral process will not interfere with the committee's efforts. I've heard people opine that in an election year, there's not much that can be done when it comes to constitutional amendment. With the greatest respect, I beg to differ. All the amendments to the 1992 Constitution happened in 1996. One person was killed and others injured, with several houses burnt at Nanik and Binbagu communities in the Bumprugu Nankpanduri district in the northeast region over a reported chieftaincy dispute. News sources in the two communities indicate that residents fled in haste, leaving what could not be carried. A community radio station in Binde Bumprugu, a community radio presenter in Binde Bumprugu, Sunday Batowani, told the newsmen that the violence broke out after the youth chief of Nanik was shot while in the company of one Elijah. Mr. Batowani said Elijah died on the spot and the body briefly preserved at the Binde Hospital morgue. He added that there was a second attack on Monday, September 23rd, when preparations were underway to lay Elijah to rest. A senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Martin Oteng Abebio, has criticized the implementation of the free senior high school policy, arguing that it has exacerbated the challenges of the education sector. Professor Oteng Abebio explained that despite the increase in enrollment across universities as a result of the policy, the government has done little to improve infrastructure in tertiary institutions. Addressing the media during a campaign outreach by lecturers to intensify awareness of the National Democratic Congress 2024 manifesto, Professor Abebio commended the party's proposal to review the free SHS policy. The free SHS has helped, but it has spelled the doom of the whole education system. The number of students that are getting into the university has increased tremendously. Lecturers have not increased. The lecture halls have not increased. The residential halls have not increased. So we are compromising, and I'm a lecturer. We are compromising quality for quantity. In a sense, today, if you come to Legon, you enter a lecture hall to find 600 to 800 students in one room. That makes it very difficult to reach out to every one of them. How many essays can you mark a day? And how many essays can you give to a student? He asked. Coming up in our international news, Israeli warplanes hit Lebanon again as Hezbollah takes aim at central Israel, and Trump warned by U.S. intelligence of Iran assassination threats, campaign says. Bring you details after this break. Stay tuned.
Sweet Melodies News, keeping you informed.
Chokronkron say amanama a wayo nyina beba abekoto wanim ewurade na wabehye wudin eni onyam mumra maye mutu enkoto ensori ewurade yen yofo enim eti odofo shia Wednesday enyumre bia every 6:30 ekopem 8 o'clock na ye momo nkoto ensori ewurade ewo dwumedi aya to ni din say Sweet Melodies Night of Worship na Ghana nyontofo akese nyina beba abedi enim ewo osori mu a live worship. Sweet Melodies Night of Worship ewurade besane.
Get all your reliable news items here on Sweet Melodies.
Welcome back. In our international news, Israel unleashed more airstrikes on Lebanon today, and Hezbollah militants fired salvos of rockets into Israel in the heaviest exchanges between the arch foes in a year. Hezbollah claimed to have targeted the headquarters of the Mossad spy agency in Tel Aviv, Israel's economic capital. World leaders, meanwhile, expressed concern that the conflict, running in parallel to Israel's war in Gaza against Hamas, was rapidly intensifying as the death toll in Lebanon rose. The Israeli military has mounted its heaviest airstrikes in a year of conflict this week, targeting Hezbollah leaders and hitting hundreds of sites deep inside Lebanon, while Hezbollah has fired barrages of rockets into Israel. Donald Trump has been briefed by U.S. intelligence on threats from Iran to assassinate him, his campaign said. The Republican presidential candidate was briefed regarding real and specific threats from Iran to assassinate him in an effort to destabilize and sow chaos in the United States, the campaign said in a statement. It did not elaborate on the claims, and it was not immediately clear if the threats it referred to were new or had been previously reported. The Iranian government did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but Tehran has previously denied U.S. claims of interfering in American affairs. Trump posted on the social media site X, formerly Twitter, that there are big threats on my life by Iran. Moves were already made by Iran that didn't work out, but they will try again. An attack on him was a death wish by the attacker, he said, and he thanked Congress for approving more money for the Secret Service. Russia said today that a plan by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to force it to make peace was a fatal mistake that would have consequences for Kyiv. Zelensky told the United Nations Security Council on Tuesday that the war between Russia and Ukraine could not be calmed by talks alone and that Moscow must be forced into peace. In a call with reporters, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "Such a position is a fatal mistake, a systemic mistake. This is a profound misconception that will inevitably have consequences for the Kyiv regime." Peskov said that Russia wants peace, but the issue cannot be forced, adding, "A position based on an attempt to force Russia into peace is an absolutely fatal mistake, because it is impossible to force Russia into peace." Take another short commercial break. We return with sports news. This is Sweet Melodies, 94.3 FM. Stay tuned.
Informative, accurate, educative. Sweet Melodies News.
Politics has become a monster in Ghana. Every issue is seen through a political lens rather than a national spectacle. Think Ghana first. Let's begin to view national developments, debates, and policies beyond political party interests. This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Civic Education NCCE.
We bring you sports news just the way you like it here on Sweet Melodies 94.3 FM.
Thank you for staying your dial here on Sweet Melodies 94.3 FM. You're listening to our major news bulletin at midday. In our sports news, Manchester City have revealed Rodri has suffered ligament damage to his right knee, although the full extent of the injury remains unclear. The influential Spain international was injured in the Champions 2-2 draw with Arsenal in the Premier League at the Etihad Stadium on Sunday. A statement on mancity.com read, "Assessment remains ongoing to ascertain the full extent of the injury and expected prognosis. Everyone at the club wishes him a speedy recovery." The midfielder traveled to Spain to seek specialist consultation this week following initial tests in Manchester. There had been reports claiming he could miss the rest of the season, but while the problem is clearly serious, Pep Guardiola remains hopeful it does not prove that bad. Kylian Mbappe is expected to be out for 3 weeks with a thigh injury, a source has told newsmen, meaning he will miss Real Madrid's derby with Atletico Madrid this weekend. Star forward Mbappe was substituted in the 80th minute of Madrid's 3-2 La Liga win over Alaves at the Bernabeu, having earlier put Madrid 2-0 up after he complained of discomfort in his left leg. Coach Carlo Ancelotti described it as a knock after the match, saying Mbappe asked to be substituted to avoid any problems, but Madrid confirmed the France international's injury today. Following the test carried out today on our player, Kylian Mbappe, by the Real Madrid Medical Services, he has been diagnosed with an injury to the femoral biceps of his left leg, the club said. Finally, in this afternoon's bulletin, UEFA has reopened the bidding for stadiums to host the 2027 Champions League final after the match was stripped from Milan. The San Siro was to be the venue for the showcase final, but after Milan officials failed to assure UEFA that planned redevelopment work would not hamper the event, European football's governing body opted to take it away from them. AC Milan and Inter Milan are considering building a new stadium in the San Siro area. The new host stadium for the 2027 final is expected to be announced in May or June 2025. The decision was taken at a meeting of the UEFA Executive Committee on Tuesday, where changes to the organization's solidarity funding was also agreed. The Big Five European leagues, namely the Premier League, La Liga, Ligue 1, Serie A, and Bundesliga, agreed to have their solidarity payments capped at €10 million per season, up to and including 2026-2027. That's how we end this afternoon's bulletin of our news. Before we go a look again at the stories making the headlines. In local news, the NDC is set to write to the Electoral Commission today to demand a response to their petition. In international news, Donald Trump has been briefed by U.S. intelligence on threats from Iran to assassinate him, his campaign has said. And finally, in sports news, Manchester City have revealed Rodri has suffered ligament damage to his right knee, although the full extent of the injury remains unclear. Sweet Melodies News, thanks for staying tuned. My name is Anako Kwampofo. Good afternoon.